Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are making another Paladin video here. So I had to adjust the volume here. You guys might actually have to turn me up. I've got it pumped up like 130% or something like that, but as you can see here, I'm still not quite getting into the red even when I try to talk at my loudest. So for once, you guys might actually have to turn up my volume, which is kind of sad. All right, so I got some stuff to talk about. Nothing too terribly serious, just stuff that's on my mind. However, I'm going to preamble all over the place, more than likely, which is why I actually wrote down up here my final point. That the whole purpose of this video is trying to get to this one point, but it's going to take a long time to get there. So, and I'm probably going to ramble between point A to point B. So I just want to stay the damn point at the beginning of this video, which is the final point is that I'm convinced that there is an ocean of good enough to get the job done, as far as your lines of play and your gearing options for a paladin are concerned, once you meet the minimum gear requirements for PvP in both durability and lethality. So I'll give you an example of what the hell I'm talking about from my perspective. So I'll have a lot of people comment on my videos, and they'll say, "Hey, I do this with Paladin. Hey, I do that with Paladin," and I think they're just looking. Hopefully, they're not looking for me to praise them, because that's not really what I do. Hopefully, they're just looking for my thoughts on the matter, and I usually give them to them. And usually, my thoughts on the matter is that'll work, but or I'll say I do this, or I'll say that'll work, but I do this, and it's really all semantical. Like, I don't want anybody to take the idea from me saying such thing when I say things like that what they're doing is not viable. I mean, hell, they wouldn't believe me if I told them because it's working for them, right? Like, they're literally coming and saying, "Hey, Palatime, this works for me," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's good, but try this. See if you like it. See if you don't like it." And it's like I can't straight up tell them, "Yeah, that doesn't work. That wouldn't." But I want to talk about why that is for a second. And again, the final point of this video is that there's actually this vast ocean of different gear that you can put on your paladin and be successful with, of different trinket options you can use and be successful with, of even slightly different lines of play that you can do as a paladin and be successful with. The point being, once you hit those critical minimums of your durability, your lethality, and can you or can you not catch a fool. One sec, let me cough. There we go. Can you or can you not catch a fool? It's like it becomes very semantical what is viable for you to do as a paladin and what is not viable for you to do as a paladin. All right, so ramble time. All right, maybe I should just try to get to my second point here. All right, so what the hell is this visual here? Durability, lethality, catch a fool, and then the arrow that goes over to win percentage, time to kill, and then escape to kill, or percent, whatever. Basically, what this means is when you hear me and Drakova talk on a Palicast, and I'll bring up what I like to do as a paladin, Drakova will often come back with saying that he'll say something like, "That'll work, but I prefer to do this," or he'll even just straight up say, "I don't my problem with it is the win percentage," or "My problem with it is the time to kill," or "My problem with it is some version of people can get away from me." That's what this escape percentage is. Like, if they failed to kill you in a fight, what are the odds that they're able to run away as opposed to laying dead on the ground? And in exploring this, it dawned on me that me and Drakova are actually it's a spectrum, and then me and Drakova are at the opposite ends of the spectrum, which is kind of what we have down here. And so it dawned on me that it'd probably be an interesting video to talk about this for a second. But it's important to know, okay, we're still on this visual here. We haven't got to this visual yet. Okay, so when you're first starting out as a paladin, the most important things are your durability, your lethality, and can you or can you not catch a fool. Right? I've made plenty of videos on this. I won't go over it in too much detail. But once you've met those minimum requirements of durability, lethality, and I can catch a fool, you enter this world of there being an ocean of good enough, right? And in an ocean of good enough, which is where really it's your viability. Like, if you have all three of these things down, you are now a viable, successful PvP paladin. And the question only becomes, okay, what is the better form of this viable PvP paladin, right? Like, are we now we're Super Saiyan? We're asking ourselves, are we Super Saiyan 1 or are we Super Saiyan 2? Are we Super Saiyan 3? That kind of a thing. And the only metrics that we can really go off at that point are our win percentages, our time to kill, and our escape percentage. I'm gonna get a drink of water here. Maybe that'll help. I've been sitting here not talking all day, and then all of a sudden you try to talk, and standard procedure. Cough, cough. Right. So I think we're clear to move. All right, so let's talk about the spectrum and what I mean by this in general. Okay, so it dawns on me that Drakova and I are at, it's a spectrum, and we're at the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. All right, so for example, when Drakova does his builds, when he goes out to do his builds, now he didn't always do this, but he's explored every possible Paladin build practically. I don't think he's explored time on target too terribly much. He leaves that to me. But he's explored them all, but he's really settled on what I'm about to talk about right now, which is when Drakova does his builds, it seems to me that what he does is he meets the bare minimum durability requirements. He meets the bare minimum catch-a-fool requirements, and then he puts every last remaining stat point that he can squeeze on / out of his Paladin into lethality. And that's basically one end of the spectrum. And when you do that, your result is going to be, since you have the lowest possible durability to get away with it, you're going to have probably a lower win percentage. But you're going to have the highest time to kill, and you're going to have probably the highest possible time to kill, and you're going to have the least amount of escape. Okay, what the hell am I talking about this? All right, well, when I look at Drakova's builds and then how he gets to these builds, what we can see is, first off, what do I mean by time to kill? I mean from the moment the fight starts to how long before either they're dead or you're dead. Like really just the average length of time that your combat is going to take. And of course you can break that down by class, but just in general, right? And in general, when I watch Drakova PvP, I would say he's got about an 85% win rate. He's got about 40 seconds on average of time to kill. And things almost never get away from him. It's really only RNG when he fails to kill them and they're able to get away. The opposite end of the spectrum is me, who prioritizes durability over lethality. So just to make this clear, the Drakova style of doing things is minimum on durability, minimum on catch-a-fool, and then to maximize his lethality. That is the way he prefers to play, especially when he's doing Ret Reckoning. But even if you see him do Holy Reckoning, he tends to gravitate towards this formula. My formula, by contrast, is the complete opposite of that. I look to get the bare minimum of lethality. I guess I have the bare minimum of catching a fool, but my builds are often very heavily on catch a fool because it enhances my lethality, right? So there's some overlap there for me. But then, unlike Drakova, who is meeting the minimums in these other two categories and then putting every last ounce of extra oomph that he has in his Paladin into lethality, I get the bare minimums in these two, and then I put every last ounce of anything I have left on my Paladin into durability. And what that results in for me is I'll end up having a much higher win percent rate, meaning I almost never lose a 1v1. But I have much worse time to kills, and I have significantly higher percentages of people escaping from me, meaning they rolled up on me, they fought me in a 1v1, I won the 1v1, but I was unable to kill them. They're able to successfully disengage and get away from me. So those are the two ends of the spectrum, and that is how you get there in your builds. Now, if I had to place Talrain somewhere after looking at his builds are a little more about here. So this would be Talrain's point on the spectrum. He's a little bit more on the durable side than Drakova, which changes his numbers a little bit. Talrain's win percentage numbers in the 1v1 would go up more. His time to kill is maybe a little bit longer, maybe like 45 seconds on average time to kill. His escape percentage is a little bit worse. But due to that durability increase, he errs on the side of durability, I've noticed. So, for example, he might be running like, I'd say about 8% more durability than Drakova on average. Dracova's a bit of a mad lad when it comes to how low he's willing to make his durability go down to. What else do I want to talk about here? The spectrum, viability. I want to tie these concepts in together. All right, so there is one last thing we usually talk about, and that is multi-target engagements, right? Like how well can a paladin handle the 2v1, for example? In general concept, or most of us tend to agree, okay, top-tier paladins tend to agree, that the lethality variant of the paladin is better in the 2v1 than the durability paladin in the 2v1. However, being on the other extreme end, my experience with the subject is that both tend to be equally viable. Like, I'm just as capable of winning a 2v1 as a Drakova or a Talrain build is. The issue is that the escape chance goes up significantly, or the time to kill is quite significant, and the escape chance is quite significant. So, when I get into a 2v1, there's only like a 30% chance I'll kill one of them. Like, even if I win the fight, there's only a 30% chance that one of them is laying dead on the ground. And there's almost a non-existent chance that they're both dead on the ground. Whereas if you're a Drakova or a Talrain-style paladin, odds are you murdered both of them. Time to kill also is a bit extended, which can be a bad thing. And that's the other thing I wanted to get into. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, we got to talk about that. Okay. So let's talk about the spectrum in general. So these numbers that we usually use are typically for the 1v1 because the vast majority of PvP engagements that we're going to have are the 1v1 in World of Warcraft. Despite popular opinion of like Asmongold saying, I get ganged up on PvP all the time. That's abnormal, not so much the normal. More than likely, you put yourself in a position to where you can actually be ganged up on for a variety of reasons. So we talk about multi-target, we talk about the win rate percentage, the time to kill. As your time to kill increases, and this is Dracova's biggest gripe about having a high time to kill. Doesn't bother me at all, obviously. His biggest gripe about it is the longer it takes to kill your opponent in non-dual PvP scenarios. So in non-dual PvP scenarios, this win rate percentage is not as I'm trying to explain that this win rate percentage is not as important as the time to kill. And by non-dueling scenarios, I specifically mean like PvP in I guess that would be in Battlegrounds or in open world PvP. This depends because in open world PvP in the 1v1, your win percentage is still extremely important. However, your time to kill also becomes extremely important. Outside of a duel, time to kill becomes extremely important. That's what I'm trying to say. The reason why it's so important is because the longer it takes for you to kill something, to put them in the dirt, on the ground, the more likely it is for somebody, another Horde player, to show up and, turn your 1v1 into a 1.5v1. Let's be honest. It's not a 2v1 because you've probably already beaten the crap out of the first guy to engage with you and or worn him down 6 ways from Sunday, if you're my style of paladin, that is. So the next guy that shows up, it's not really a 2v1, but for all extents and purposes, it might as well be a 2v1. And then your win rate goes down significantly. So, in non-dual scenarios, these paladin builds are actually a lot closer than you would think in the grand scheme of things. So it's like, yeah, even though I have a 95% win rate, this time to kill is rather monstrous compared to Dracova's time to kill, which is going to cause my overall PvP percent win rate to drop down closer to what Dracova's is, if that makes any sense. What makes it, of course, worse on all spectrums is the escape time is still very poor. So if you were looking for a Paladin build that you didn't care about dueling at all, Dracova's Paladin build is objectively superior to my Paladin build in the grand scheme of things when we're talking about him prioritizing lethality over durability and me prioritizing durability over lethality. So it's dynamic, is what I'm trying to say. And it's also on a spectrum. But everything comes back full circle to the simple fact that what I'm trying to say is this. When me and Dracova sit down and we do a Palicast and we talk about our builds and we talk about like why he doesn't like my builds and I talk about the things I don't like about his builds, we're usually talking in terms of win percentage, time to kill, and escape kill percentage of our enemies. The reason for this is because we don't really need to talk about durability, lethality, or catch a fool because we already know that we all, like I have it, Dracova has it, Talrain has it. We're good on the durability, we're good on the lethality, we're good on the catch a fool. So then the question becomes, okay, you fall into this spectrum, and then the question becomes, are you okay with the pros of my style versus Dracova's style, or are you not a fan of my style versus Dracova's style, right? And Dracova, if you ever watch him, when he wreck bombs something and it escapes with like 50 hit points, that really pisses him off. He hates seeing his targets survive. Now, technically, he won the fight, right? For all extents and purposes, he won the fight. It could even be in like a PvP environment, like a battleground, for example, right? And honestly, if you bitch slapped a mage to like 5% of his life, and they run away from you screaming like ah, and you can't catch them anymore, that was just as good as killing him, right? Like if you kill him, he's probably coming back in 30 seconds. He's going to be right back where he was, eyeballing you in like 40 seconds, about 40 seconds. So he'll be back alive in like 20 seconds, but he'll be physically back in the fight in like 30 to 40 seconds, right? However, if he has to run away at 5% life, he's probably going to have to sit down and heal himself and bandage up and stuff. He's out of the fight for just as much time. You've won, right? In my brain, you've won. Everything is fine. No problem. But it pisses Dracova off that this guy is alive when he should be dead. And this, of course, influences his build and where he is on the spectrum. So, of course, he's going to want to try to squeeze out more DPS here and there. Of course, he's going to want that target to be dead and not alive. And there's a lot of scenarios where it does increase his win percentage because he's so heavily on that end of the spectrum. So if it bothers you that people are running away from you having been thoroughly battered and beaten by you, then my build is not for you. My build has like short of just punching people to death, it probably people run away from me all the time, like all the time. It just welcome to life. I'll get jumped by 2 rogues, I'll beat them both, they'll both survive. I'll get jumped by 2 warriors, I'll beat them both, they'll both survive, and it's like, whatever. Good enough. Yeah, so that's what me and Dracova are basically on about. That's why when he talks about why he does not like Palatine builds, it's these 2 reasons here. Oh boy, he's never questioning my win rate percentages in 1v1s. He's questioning my time to kill. He's questioning the escape percentages. He's questioning how it handles in multi-combat scenario, like when a horde shows up, because I'm taking so long to kill the target. He's questioning its viability in battleground circumstances. It's literally just not his cup of tea. He'll be the first to admit. Heck, you can probably check the comment section below the video. He'll probably just straight up say it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Palatine builds. It's just not his cup of tea. And of course, Talrain is on the same page. He always has the gear to go the extreme lethality route that Dracova goes, but he prefers to, I think, hover around like an 88% win rate, give or take, even if it costs him an extra little bit of time to kill and a little bit of loss percent chance. keep in mind, both these players would play completely differently if they were in a duel for like $10,000 or some crap like that. Like if they were in a dueling tournament for $10,000, you better believe they would be they'd be doing whatever it takes to get that win percentage up. So yeah, under dueling conditions, all that matters is your win percentage. Almost nothing else matters. But in just about every other combat scenario, you want a good balance between your win rate. No, that's not even true. I was going to say you want a good balance between the three. No, you want a season to taste, right? Season to taste your damn Paladin. Well, whatever's working for you, can continue doing it. If you're like, man, I wish I killed faster, I don't like this or that. If you don't mind watching people run away from you like little girls at like 5% life screaming, go for it. I don't know if it doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, yeah, run. I don't care. Is there anything else to say here? I wanted to talk a little bit about the Paladin. I wanted to give an example of the spectrum of viability. I don't think it's going to be important for the subject matter of this video. So cue the potential rambling, people. So I have a friend who he plays 31 10 11. So this is the least talked about Paladin spec. That is at the same time the most viable, especially now that you can Seal Twist Crusader and Seal of Righteousness. He played so he'd be in full tier 2 with a Hand of Rag. I had Drakova duel him one time. Full tier 2 with a Hand of Rag, 31 10 11. So that is the Holy Shock Seal of Command Paladin. Now, when I take one look, okay, when I take a look at at that gear choice, which is an awesome gear choice for that spec, by the way, and I take a look at I take a look at the gear, I take a look at the spec, and I can tell immediately why he is succeeding, right? Why he's coming up to me and telling me, hey, I do this and it works, right? And the reason is because he's durable as all hell. Like he is Giga Chad levels of durability. He's more durable than a Holy Reckoning Paladin in all likelihood. I would disagree with that assessment, just because part of durability is your lethality, which is one thing that my builds definitely synergize well with. You can't really say that about Drakova's builds, to be perfectly honest. He would disagree. I disagree with him on the principle. Or I say what I'm saying on the principle of Drakova's builds are all or nothing. Either his opponent is dead in the ground or 5% life and running away screaming, or he died, right? Like that's the Drakova build. There's no middle ground there. So he, how do I put this? If he failed to hit hard enough that his opponent could then stick around and stay in the fight and take advantage of the fact that Drakova probably used everything in its dog to try to get that killing blow in, then he would lose. Yeah, maybe there is a line of logic, I think, that Drakova is correct, where his lethality is increasing his durability. I'm pretty sure, however, he's getting massive diminishing returns at a certain point. Or is that what I'm trying to say here? It's like my brain struggles to see how his lethality increases his durability of his builds past a certain point. It's like, yeah, but it's like, okay, only 10% of the time do I fail to kill them. I'm like, okay, I got this. And he's like, if I increase my durability, like my lethality 1% more, then they're dead, like, 95% of the time. And I'm like, okay. Huh. What the hell does this have to do with your durability? Because back when they were like survive but 5% life, odds are they were dead anyways. Like they had to disengage, they had to run. The fight is over. GG's. Like just what I already said. Now you might think like Whipper Root and Heal Potion or something like that. The problem with that is you give Drakova Whipper Root Heal Potion. Like if he has Whipper Root and Heal Potion, then Drakova has Whipper Root and Heal Potion, and he's in prime position to just murder you anyways. If you're in a dueling scenario, you don't really have Healing Potion, typically. You only have Whipper Root, and if you knock somebody down to 5% life, Whipper Root is not going to get them above Hammer of Wrath, which means they have to run away, they have to disengage. Like, not even mages can survive on Whipper Root alone at 5% life. They pop back up to, like, let me think. Yeah, they pop back up to, like, 18% life. Like, boom, Whipper Root, 18% life, yay! And then you just stay out of sheep range and start hammering them until they're dead. What do you have to do? So, I think he's correct to a point, and then not so correct anymore. But I could be wrong. He's definitely correct up to a point. The hell am I trying to say here? All right, I was talking about my friend and his command pally build. So the 3110, the Holy Shock Command Paladin build is generally considered by most top tier Paladin players to be the weakest viable Paladin build. The only Paladin build that is theoretically both weaker and less viable is a Deep Prot Paladin. The problem with trying to say that, though, is that the Deep Prot Paladin still has Reckoning. And the sheer act of being a Paladin with Reckoning means your viability is quite high. Like, period, end of story. You could probably have, just do a pure theoretical. Let's say you had just enough points into the Prot tree to get Holy Reckoning, and you didn't spend any other points in your Paladin talent trees whatsoever. Are you still a viable Paladin build? And the answer is, yep. Absolutely. Totally, 100%. So the sheer act of having Reckoning puts you on the viability scale. But yeah, so why is he having success? So I take one look at that, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're durable as hell. And because you're durable as hell, you're eventually going to catch a guy, and you have the ability to beat them to death. Like, deep holy paladins, paladins that don't have command and they just have holy shock, are viable PvP paladins, and they're viable PvP paladins for the very same reasons. Like, command is... It's icing on the cake of your viability with that build, but it's not really making or breaking that build, which is why I want to talk originally about, like, the ocean of good enough to get the job done. He is firmly within the realm of good enough to get the job done, but if you ask me or Jakova or Talrain what we think about that particular Paladin build, we're not going to talk about it in terms of durability, lethality, or catch a fool. We're immediately going to go to its win percentage, its time to kill, its how likely are things to escape from you, and just its general PvP viability. And when we compare just its general PvP viability to the other options that are out there, it's a little low tier. It's down there with Prot Paladin. I think it would be a lot funner. I think Jakova would rather play Prot Paladin than a Command Paladin, or a Holy Shock Command. I would rather play a Holy Shock Command than a Deep Prot Paladin, to give you an idea. But to be perfectly honest, they're probably both in about the same area of viability as far as play goes. Okay. Then we have another extreme example, which would be classic Deep Ret. All right. So they're two versions of Deep Ret, and it depends entirely. It depends a little bit on your talents, but it depends mostly on what gear you're wearing. So you got like the Deep Ret that can heal in combat and likely has consecration, especially since it works on rogues now. Thank God. Since the spell batching has gone away, rogues are now struggling mightily with concentration. So you have the Deep Ret Paladin that has, like, they wear Avengers, or they wear Tier 2, or actually they wear Tier 2 until they get Avengers. uh, I don't know. They wear some version of either tier 2, a 5-piece Avenger, or they wear like rank 13 gear, right? Like some rank 12, rank 13 gear, some variant of that deep classic Ret Paladin. And the primary difference between their gear and other... Listen, deep Ret Paladins are... diverse in their gear that they wear. They're not super diverse in their tactics, but they're definitely diverse in the gear that they wear, and the diversity in the gear that they wear will affect their tactics. So, for example, as I sit here, I'm like, okay, Deep Ret version number 1, that would be full tier 2, concentration, healing in combat, Deep Ret Paladin, right? Like, and they're just... That Paladin, when I look at it on these perspectives and these metrics, that Paladin is durable as all hell. Its lethality is definitely up there, and it can 110,000% catch a fool. When I made that Paladin video, when I talked about Hand of Rag versus Edward the Odd, and like the Holy Reckoning gear build that I think is the best Holy Reckoning gear build, blah, 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 blah. If you had a Deep Ret Paladin wearing that gear... that Deep Ret Paladin would still shit on everything in its dog. I've been thinking about this for a while. That gear might actually even be better for a classic Deep Ret Paladin than for a Holy Reckoning Paladin. Why the hell is that? Because you have Repent. And you don't have Reckoning, but you have Repent. And my builds are designed so that I'm not trying to kill you in Reckoning, I'm trying to grind you into pulp. So I talk a lot about how if I resist your grenade, it's the equivalent of giving me a Repent. Because now I have a catch-up on you that you can't counter. So the resisting on the grenade is a huge deal. But then I started thinking, okay, what if I both resist a grenade and I have Repent? Do I need Reckoning at that point? And the answer is hell fucking no. At that point, I probably have even a free trinket slot to additionally murder, death, kill somebody. So I'm like, damn, that gear... with a Deep Ret Paladin is probably also completely effing terrifying. Ugh. Yeah, so that build will just grind people into pulp off of durability alone. But then again, the 13... The Holy Shock Command Paladin has very similar playstyle and viability, right? Okay, so then we got the other Deep Ret Paladins, which is you can do an S-Fand or a Drakova-style Deep Ret Paladin, which is you basically play it like a warrior, and except you can heal yourself. Like a warrior that can shrug off slows and you can heal yourself. So that's when you're playing the Deep Ret Paladin that has like sub 2,000 mana bar. Like that Paladin, right? Strength, agility, stamina. Strength, agility, stamina. Strength, agility, stamina, crit. Like that's what you're all about. And that works. But again, that's going to be more of a Drakova style build, where it's, or as far as the spectrum is concerned, where you've hit the bare minimums of durability, and you have the you definitely have Catch a Fool with a Deep Ret Paladin because you have Repent, and then you're just cranking the dial on lethality until it breaks off, and then trying to glue it back together to crank it around again. There's that build, and yeah, that's perfectly fine. You're going to have amazing time to kill, you're going to have very low escape percentages, and your win rate will, your 1v1 win rate will somewhat suffer for that. Your 2v1 win rate will probably be extremely good. What else? Yeah, then you have the final version of the Deep Ret Paladin, which is you mix the two. And I think of Avengers when I think about the mixed Deep Ret Paladin. So your mixed Deep Ret Paladin is, they may or may not have the ability to heal in combat. However, if you're wearing Avengers, it's like, why not throw the 5 points or whatever it is? I mean, I think it's 10 points. Yeah, 10 points to be able to heal in combat over in the... I mean, you go through 10% strength bonus to get there. I mean, shit. Hell yeah, you're not wasting your points. You got free points. Why not? I guess that would be the difference between Deep Ret and Ret Reckoning, right? Yeah, practically. Interesting. So, but yeah, you may or may not have healing in combat. But assuming you do have healing in combat, which would be very, very advisable with that build because you got the stats for it, right? I think Avengers comes with intellect and stuff. Put that to good use. Yeah, you're still going to grind people into pulp, but you're going to grind people into pulp for all the same reasons. I mean, you're going to murder them. You're going to murder them because your durability, you definitely have the durability, you definitely have the catch a fool, and you definitely have the lethality. I mean, you're a war in a can. You didn't specialize in any one with that build, but you have all three a little bit more than you need. You know what I mean? You have a bit more durability than you need in that build. You have a bit more lethality than you need in that build. And you definitely have a bit more catch a fool than you need in that build. So with that build, you end up in an ocean of season to taste, right? Like an ocean of season to taste with that build. Because you're going to I want a little bit more lethality. I'll take it out of my catch a fool. And that might look like one of your PvP trinkets is no longer a catch a fool trinket. It's like a Jom Gobbers or like a burst trinket, right? Or you might be like, I want a bit more durability on this build. So now that and then you'll be like, I'll sacrifice lethality for that. And that's pretty easy to do. And trinket or this thing or that. So you can season to taste from there. And again, there's that weird spectrum season to taste kind of a thing. So this whole video is me just rambling and blathering on, trying to say that once you hit your minimum durability requirements as a paladin in your gearing, once you hit your minimum lethality requirements as a paladin in your gearing, and once you hit your minimum catch a fool requirements as a paladin in your gearing, everything just becomes kind of seasoned to taste. And it becomes very semantical. What is the best paladin or what is not the best paladin? And it's really only semi-retarded monkeys like me, Paladin, Drakova, Talrain, and a few other paladins that actually concern ourselves with trying to go 100% viable to like 110% viable. Now, let's talk about why we do this and why we care, even though it is no longer a requirement. The answer is RNG. The answer is RNG. So what do I mean by this? Classic World of Warcraft has a lot of RNG that's going on. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say I was theoretically... I had a paladin that had infinite lethality. They had infinite catch a fool. Alright? Infinite. Like, nothing can get away from them. And they have infinite lethality, right? They do a billion, jillion damage when they touch something. But I'm looking at a paladin that has the minimum durability requirements. I can tell you right now that paladin will have about a 66% win rate on average. Why? Well, the reason is because that build doesn't really have any RNG protection. Okay? And when I say... oh, yeah, okay. Me, Drakova, and Talrain, when we make videos and when we talk about the minimum durability requirements for a paladin, it is important to note that I'm always very honest with the minimum durability requirements. Like very honest. So minimum durability requirements is literally, it's 4,900 HP. Now, it depends on what phase you're in, but let's assume it's phase 3. It's 4,900 HP. That is the absolute minimum HP durability requirement for a paladin. Okay? We prefer to go above that. Preferably, we want to get to about 5,100 to 5,200 HP. And the reason why we want to do that is RNG protection. That little extra bit of hit points helps us RNG protect ourselves, so then suddenly we get up to like 75, 80% win rate with those extra 100% HP. So why can I say that with the absolute minimum, like a 4,900 HP, would have a 75% win rate? Like, why can I make this state? Or not 75, 65, 66% win rate, 2/3% win rate. Now, everything has to do with math. So if I'm at the bare minimum durability and I'm facing whatever class, right? Like, let's say a shaman, right? If that shaman rolls low on his RNG, right, the spells, the damage coming out of his spells, his critical strike chance, everything. If he rolls low, I'm good, right? I have minimum durability. I'm perfectly fine. If he rolls above average, right, in theory, I should be dead. However, being a paladin, you typically paladins have built-in our anti-RNG mechanics of our own. So, for example, let's say the shaman rolls slightly above average on his RNG. He rolls like a 60th percentile as opposed to a 50th percentile, right? Then questions start coming into play like, okay, are my resistances having any effect whatsoever? Because paladins just always come with a bit of resistances, and usually you're in a resist aura. Are my resistances having any effect? Is my block, dodge, and parry having any effect? Are my Whipper Root and or healing potion and or whatever healing spells I'm able to get off under these circumstances critting at all? Because you might end up in RNG scenarios where everything out of the shaman crits. However, your resistances are coming through a little bit and your healing potion crit. So everything canceled itself out. That's why it's not, if I meet the minimum durability requirements, it's a 50% win rate. It's more of a 2/3% win rate because there's also some defensive RNG elements in play that could come and bail me out, right? Yeah, so we prefer to pump up our... what am I trying to say here? Yeah, we prefer to pump up our durability a little bit. Pumping up our durability will increase our win rate purely off of giving us more healthy RNG protections. That's one of the reasons why my build, the build that I made, has like a 95% win rate in the 1v1, just because it's so heavy into the you can't kill me that not even RNG will save you at that point. Like that 5% loss rate is pure RNG. Pure RNG. That's like something went really, really right for them and really, really wrong for me. Abnormally so on both ends. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I just lose. It's like, I guess all my stuns are resisted, and none of my healing anything crits, and all like 2/3 of your stuff crit me, and I don't get any resistances. Like, all right, fine, just kill me. I'm dead. What do you want from me? Yeah. Lethality. Why am I bringing... Oh, right. Okay, so we're talking about the spectrum. Right, so on one end, you have the ocean of good enough, right, as a paladin. So once you get your durability, your lethality, and your catch a fool squared away on your paladin, there's just an ocean of viability. So people always come to me and they're like, I do this, I find this works, I do that, I find that works. And of course, being the diligent human being that I am, I actually have to sit down and try to think for a little while, okay, is this actually better or worse than a top tier viable build? So you got low tier viable builds, and then you have top tier viable builds. So for example, Deep Prop Paladin is a low tier viable build, and then something like Holy Reckoning by comparison is a top tier viable build. Doesn't mean you can't smash faces. You're gonna have a very good win percentage. You're gonna have good time to kill. Like, you're gonna feel fine. So yeah, that's really the only difference is... Is that what I wanted to say? Have I said anything? I'm trying to wrap everything up here to saying something profound, but I think everything is just... Okay, let's do it this way. Once your paladin has reached good enough to get the job done levels of capability, tweaking your paladin from there just becomes a matter of, am I improving my time of target? Am I improving the escape? Am I improving my win rate? Win rate is actually a very juvenile way to look at it, even though you can see that I'm erroring on the side of win percent, but that's just because I don't it doesn't bother me that the enemy ran away at 5% life. It doesn't bother me that I'm taking 80 seconds on average to kill something. None of that bothers me, so it's not really on my radar to fix it. I'm just like, win percent, don't care, but anything else, lol. Whereas Dracova's over here, and he's like, I really hate it when people run away from me. I really hate it when I needed. If I could have killed this guy in 40 seconds, he'd be dead. But instead, I'm taking 45, and I got interrupted. Like none of that bothers me. I hate talking about this. The reason why I hate talking about this, I guess, is we can both objectively sit down as Paladin players and determine that X viable build is superior to Y viable build Paladin. We can do that. Like, we can sit down, we can do the math, we can crunch the numbers, we can examine the lines of play, we can calculate in RNG, we can do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, are you having fun? Are you still winning? Is all that really matters in the end. So, the end of the story is, what if whatever you're doing is working as a Paladin, and it's different than the bloody ha that either me or Drakova or Talrain spits out, and you're having fun with it, then there's actually nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Like, at all. It's only the crazed, ludicrous, there we go, ludicrous machinations of PvP Paladin theory crafters such as me and Talrain and Drakova that force us to try to push the Paladin even farther, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I've made videos before, and I'll say it again, just in case for some strange reason you're new to Paladin. I mean, when Classic World of Warcraft comes out again, fresh, no changes, hopefully, and I'll start playing it again, there might be some new Paladin players who want to try Paladin for PvP, so this might be the first video that they watch. And you can ask anybody where to start. Hopefully you guys all know by now that you start with your durability. I said it before, I'll say it again. I've never been contradicted by Drakova, or even in the comment section. Nobody's ever contradicted me on this. Talrain's never contradicted me on this. Nobody I've ever talked to who knows anything about Paladin, anything, contradicts me on this. Start with your damn durability as a Paladin. Why? Because you get to explore lines of play, right? And, that's the other thing to talk about with this whole Spectrum thing. Spectrum, your style of viable Paladin build, and your style of viable Paladin build, the lines of play that you have are actually different from Paladin to Paladin slightly. Sometimes significantly, depending upon where you've decided to put your extra gear options into. But the reason why I always suggest starting out with durability is you're going to have a really hard time figuring out what is a viable action to take under certain circumstances versus certain classes, versus what is not a viable action to take until you hit your minimum durability requirements. So, for example, if I was at 4,800 hit points, there are certain things that I just cannot do when facing an elemental shaman. I just can't do them, right? And subsequently, I start having, you start trying to gear your Paladin with all these little knickknacks and this weird thing over here. Maybe I'll try to use this thing, or maybe I'll try to use this gadget or gizmo to try to solve the problem. When really the problem is you just don't have enough damn hit points. Get a drink of water here. You just don't have enough damn hit points. Once you get the hit points, however, you'll start noticing that those gadgets and gizmos that you needed before to even have a chance of winning against the X class or whatever, you don't need them anymore. You just don't need any trickery. You're alive when you should be dead. And that either means you're putting a wreck bomb into something, or you're bitch slapping something really hard, or you're healing yourself. And it's like, oh, wow, I'm alive when I should be dead, and I'm healing, or they're dead. Whoa. And so suddenly you don't need tricks and gadgets and gizmos anymore. And next thing you know, you have freed up trinket slots for either more durability or more lethality or more catch a fool. And next thing you know, everything starts synergizing and coming together as a paladin, basically. So, always tell people, start with the durability. You don't have to go overboard in the durability. You can do a Drakova style build, which is you get up to minimum levels of durability and then you explore catch a fool and lethality. Or you can do a Paladin style build, which is you get up to minimum levels of lethality, wink wink, and then you work on your catch a fool and durability, or durability and then catch a fool. That's where you get all the time on target builds. Like when I actually sit down and I'm like, okay, I know I can beat on X class with my Paladin uninterruptedly for a certain amount of seconds. For example, it'd be like Warlock off the top of my head, 40 seconds. Shadow Priest off the top of my head, between a minute to 2 minutes of uninterrupted me beating on them, depending upon RNG. Other classes, Shamans. If the Shaman cannot actually kill me, for whatever reason, like he doesn't do enough damage to kill me, if he doesn't do enough damage to kill me, and he doesn't do enough damage to force me to stop and heal, outside of, like, stunning him and healing, then the amount of time that I have to beat on him is basically effectively unlimited. Like, he can't get me off him. Shamans have almost no effective tool to get a Paladin off of them, other than to attempt to do so much damage that the Paladin has to bubble and or heal, and or just dies. What other classes? Rogue. Time on target versus a rogue? You're not in the driver's seat of the combat outside of trinketing, stunning, and wreck bombing a rogue into oblivion versus a rogue until they run out of all their stuff. So time on target really doesn't come into play until you've worn out a rogue. So either you need to I'm trying to say either you wreck bomb a rogue out of existence, or you wear them out of all of their little rinky-dink gizmos and stuff. And then time on target comes into play. Hitting them really hard and chunking their HP is very viable. It's very dynamic. Time on target's not really a thing versus a rogue. It's more about it's very polarized, is what I'm saying. It's either you're going for the wreck bomb to delete them out of existence, or you're going for the deep red equivalent, which is I'm going to try to do so much damage to this rogue that their hit points drop so low that continued combat with me is just not viable. They're going to die. Or you do a Paladin thing, you just make yourself unkillable and laugh at them, and they run out of stuff eventually, and they either F off or they die horribly. Other classes. Druid. Time on target's not really a thing with Druid unless you're using a Mug of Hurt, and then it's like all kinds of RNG involved, but it's just a situation of you can't really kill them, they can't really kill you. So on and so forth. Time on target versus mage, 10 seconds. You have 10 seconds of time on target versus a mage, effectively. Don't believe me? Ask Talrain. Talrain, he kills mages, not the way Drakova kills mages. Drakova kills mages by trying to delete them out of existence. Talrain kills mages by, even if he fails to delete them out of existence, he realizes that he still has about 10 seconds of time on target to beat the crap out of them. So he usually kills them shortly after failing to wreck bomb kill them. Like he doesn't have all his eggs in one basket. Drakova's got all his eggs in one basket usually when he's facing mages, which is extremely viable. Don't get me wrong. Talrain seems to have split his eggs. He's between the durability side. He's sacrificed lethality for durability, and he's split his eggs between the possibility of deleting the mage out of existence, about a 50% chance. And even if he fails to delete the mage out of existence 50% of the time, there's like like 30 to 40% of the time after that, he's just going to kill them before they can possibly sheep him effectively, right? Off the back of like PvP Trinket, Bubble, like, you know, Goblin Mortar, Sapper Charge, Frost Reflector, all that crap. So, which is perfectly viable. It's very reminiscent of how I kill mages with my Holy Reckoning build. I have the possibility to delete the mage out of existence. Very low possibility, like 25% chance. But I'm painfully aware that I have pretty good time on target in them. And of course, all high-level paladins know that if the mage dropped to 5% life at any point in time, like Whipperroot's not going to save them. They're just going to get Hammer of Wrath to death. So it's like, whatever, it's fine. What the hell am I trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say. All right, I was talking where to start and time on target and stuff like that. Yeah, you start with your durability, and then you can either go the lethality route, you can do the durability route, you can go the catch-a-fool route. I suppose the catch-a-fool route is time on target. I want to talk about lethality. That's right, okay. So, see if I can even bring this up real fast here. Where is it? So I need to go like WoW, right? When did my wife rename that, or? That's the wrong file. Dodo. Here we are. That's also the wrong file. Jesus. Let's try every file except for the one that I'm looking for. Ending argument, theory craft, twisting, no. Women are crazy, PNG, yeah. Long term, no. Classic, no. Holy Reckoning, no. Whatever, I can't find it. But I did that one video on Reckoning where I had, whatchamacallit? Yeah, I was trying to show that Edward the Odd's capabilities with the rank 12/13 Holy Reckoning build versus other possible options such as Hand of Ragnaros. And I think the Hand of Rag was close to 300 DPS. HP loss DPS, and then the Edward the Odd was like 300 HP loss DPS. I've calculated it before. As a time on target paladin, you need roughly somewhere in the vicinity of about 250 DPS. Anything over 250, we're talking HP loss DPS, which means that you need to calculate your DPS and then compensate for armor. And a good general rule of thumb is assume your target has 30% armor. It's just good rule of thumb. That's what I do. And with those calculations, you need about 250 DPS. When you start falling below 250 DPS, you start getting into ranges of 220 DPS, like somewhere between 200 DPS to 220 DPS. What happens is that forces you to use, you go from having a free trinket slot to having that you can use for whatever you want, to needing to use that trinket slot up for more catch-a-fool, because your lethality is so low that you just need more time on target in order to kill them. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's important to realize that lethality is a combination of your DPS plus how much, how long you can pump that DPS into your target, minus, of course, whatever durability options, or I should say recovery options, your opponent has. So, for example, the Drakova build is very interested in deleting a target out of existence, so they cannot use any recovery options whatsoever. There's no time to Whipperroot. There's no time to Healing Potion. There's no time to heal themselves. There's no time to do anything. If he touches you, you explode, and you're dead, and that's it, right? Whereas the other extreme end of the spectrum would be me. No. Let's compare that to a slight shift to the right on this graph, to a Talrain build. So Talrain will run up to you, and he doesn't have like an 80% death touch. He doesn't have an 80% death touch. He's got something more in the vicinity of a 60% death touch, let's say. It's probably higher than that. It's probably close to 2/3, 70%, probably 70% death touch. So Drakova has an 80% death touch. Talrain has a 70% death touch. So if his touch fails to kill, his Wreck Bomb fails to kill something, he still has enough DPS and time on target that he's calculated that he, despite recovery options such as Whipper Root and a healing potion, he's still going to cut you to pieces, especially with his extra durability. So that tends to be his slight shift. Then, of course, you have my extreme shift, which is I'm looking at the scenario and going, what are the minimums? Like, I will sit here and tell you exactly what the minimums are. Both trinkets being used to catch a fool, my minimum DPS for the vast majority, for all comers build Paladin, time on target is 220. 220, and I'm very comfortable. 250, and I'm comfortable freeing up that trinket slot for something else, right? Either a burst trinket, or a heal trinket, or even more time on target trinket, just in case RNG has gone kind of wonky. Like I've noticed, I'm having bad RNG on some stuff. For example, my stun gets resisted, and that's screwing everything up. I have a trinket to bail me out. Or my Wreck Bomb is super low, and I'm like, wow, that Wreck Bomb just missed out the wazoo. Well, good thing I got this trinket to back me up. Or Edward the Odd to bail you out. What the hell am I getting at? What's the point here? Win rate, Talrain, durability, lethality. Right, I was just covering lethality for a second there, where it's actually time on target. So I guess the lethality equation I was trying to point out is it's your DPS, your actual HP damage DPS. Then you'd have to calculate how much time you get to pump that DPS into the target. And then you have to calculate, are there any recovery options for your opponent, and do you have sufficient capabilities to overcome their recovery options? Yeah. And of course, Catch a Fool is just... do we have to make videos on Catch a Fool? Like, every paladin has their own unique ways to catch people. Like, I'm not going to lie. We all use different trinkets and different setups and different builds to try to catch people. Like, we've got, Nifty Stopwatch and Rocket Boots, and we've got Tidal Charm, and we've got Repent, and we've got just running at a guy. This is what I do. We got just straight up running at people, and resistance checks on their grenades and stuff, or just my number one way to catch a fool. I'm not gonna lie to you. My number one way to catch a fool is I run at them and I can't be killed, and that's my number one way to catch people. And it's really funny. It's like I'm running at them and they can't really kill me. And so after a while, they start throwing out, things that they would normally use to get away from me. Like, they start throwing out their Tidal Charm, and they start throwing out their grenades and all that stuff to try to kill me. Not so much to get away from me, because it's easy to get away from me. I don't have anything to catch them. So they start throwing out these things to try to kill me. Like, because what's happening is I run at them. They try to hurt me. I'm like, okay, that was cute. Let me heal. And then eventually they get sick and tired of watching me heal and keep trying to run at them because, I'm got all this sustain. They're not going to be able to beat a sustain game. So eventually comes out the grenade, comes out the Tidal Charm, comes out the silences, comes out everything in its dog to try to kill me. But I'm durable to the 9, so it doesn't work. I'm also, I know my break points on healing. So, for example, I'm overcommitting to the chase to try to bait them to use that stuff, right? For example, they'll be sitting over there, and in their brain, they're like, if I get a paladin to 70% life, my silence grenade combo will prevent them from healing for long enough. This could be a warlock. This could be a shadow priest. Will prevent them from healing long enough that they'll die. Like, I do enough damage that if I can stop their healing with grenade and silence, they will die from 70% life. And then I will let my life drop below 70%. I will literally go up. I'll be like, I'm 68% life. I know you can. I know you can kill me now, theoretically. I know you think you can kill me now, theoretically. And then they pull the trigger on that shit and find out it doesn't work. And like, wait, what? Why didn't it work? Well, it didn't work because your boy's got like 185 fire resist. So, yeah, I got stunned by the grenade, but I took like half damage from the grenade. So you failed to calculate that into the equation. Or I just have more hit points than you're used to. Or, you know, your calculations are great, but did it take into account I still have Whipper Root and Healing Potion? Like, you've literally not forced anything out of me. Or, hey, did your calculation take into account that I still have PvP Trinket up on you? Am I using a healing PvP Trinket? Do I have Tidal Charm myself? So you're like, I grenade stun you. I'm going to blast you with a spell. And I'm like, okay, Tidal Charm, heal. What now? It's like, all right, that was cute. It's adorable, but not going to work. Yeah, so that's how I do it. I calculate my minimum lethality requirements, and then I err on the side of durability 6 ways from Sunday. Drakova does his completely differently. So yeah, rambling, I'll end up the video here. Yeah, so when you hear me and Drakova talk, and I talk about why I love my builds, my build is awesome because of blah. And if you realize, I always say I have a great win rate. And Drakova always comes back with, your time to kill is dog shit compared to me. Basically, that's what he says. And your ability to 2v1 and the ability for people to escape from you is bad. No, I agree completely. In other words, that my build is amazing for 1v1s and it's amazing for duels. It's not super good for... It's still completely viable, don't get me wrong. It's still amazing. I love it. For just about any other PvP combat scenario, whether that's BGs or open world, it's still an amazing Paladin build on my end of the spectrum. Drakova has his end of the spectrum, of course, and then, you know, players like Talrain are seasoned to taste, a little bit to the right of that. And odds are your build is somewhere in the vicinity of that, too, with your season to taste. Like, I talked to a guy recently, he was talking about how he's having lots of success in Avengers gear as a deep ret Paladin using healing trinkets. And I was like, I sit back and I think about that for a second, and I'm like, yeah, that's completely, totally viable. You could also use DPS trinkets in theory, right? So you might ask yourself, right? Why is he using DPS healing trinkets and not DPS trinkets, right? And I'll tell you, the bait and switch is real with that one. I bet you. Haven't talked to him about it, but I bet you the bait and switch with him is over 9,000. Because think about it. Imagine you're going all in. You're all in to kill this Paladin, right? It's a deep ret Paladin. You're all in to kill him. And then he has a whole nother heal that you didn't know about. How completely effed are you now? How completely effed are you against a deep ret Paladin, right? If he's able to trick you into attempting to go all in to kill him, and he still has like an extra, like, 1,000 hit points. It could be something as simple as he was using like, in theory, you have like let me just okay, what are good healing trinkets? There aren't many of them, honestly. There's even fewer good healing trinkets if you don't pair the trinkets together. So, for example, discombobulator rays. No, not discombobulator rays. Recombobulator. I think that's what it is. I can actually go look it up. Is my my VPN working here? Let's go look it up, boys. No. I made a video. Guess I gotta redo my internet later. I made a video on Recombobulator Ray has like a 100% healing ratio or something like that. It's a trinket you can put on yourself, and you can remove polymorph from a target. Can't remove it from yourself, but it removes polymorph from the target, and it heals the target for a bit. And that thing has like a 100% healing ratio. So when you use the Recombobulator Ray with something like, a hero charm, where you get that plus 400% healing ratio temporarily, and you're running around like Avengers gear, which means you probably have like 250 spell power or some crap like that. I know you at least have 200 spell power on the healing ray. Yeah, let's go look it up. Hopefully. All right, so I want... wow, that's weird. The video paused somewhere. I don't know what didn't get talked about. I guess it really doesn't matter, though. Huh. I'm like looking at this, I'm like, does that say paused? What the hell? Whatever, I can't remember what I was talking about, but I went over here and looked at discombobulate array. I jumped back, and I completely forgot that discombobulate array... paused again? No. I completely forgotten the discombobulate array also restores mana. Because I remember it had 100% spell power ratio, which was kind of cool, but discombobulate array also restored mana. I was like, so I was looking into that and very interested. Before I go, I'll say one thing that I kind of wanted to make a whole video on, but I just didn't end up doing. I listened to Asmongold talk about why he doesn't like classic World of Warcraft, or his thoughts on, like, why TBC is superior to classic World of Warcraft. And every time I hear him talk about it, it makes me want to bash my head into a wall. He has a much better argument when he says why people don't like world PvP, or nobody likes world PvP, blah, 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 blah. Much better argument on that. But his argument, TBC versus classic World of Warcraft, was really bad. He actually made a very bad argument one day, a very bad apples to oranges comparison, which is very not normal for Asmongold. He's usually very good to avoid that logical fallacy and make apples to apples comparisons. He compared the success of TBC to Season of Mastery as a way of saying, hey, look, TBC is clearly more popular than classic World of Warcraft. Now, I'm sure some of you can see the problem here. The problem, of course, is that this is not an apples-to-apples comparison. He's comparing a fresh launch TBC, first time we've seen that in decades, to a relaunch, significant changes, classic World of Warcraft. That's not a one-to-one comparison, and it gets even worse because his reason for playing classic World of Warcraft way more than he played TBC is that his reasoning, his own personal reasoning, is TBC. He'd played TBC before. He never completely played classic World of Warcraft, so he says he's significantly less interested in playing TBC because he's done all that already. And I'm just sitting here smacking my head against a wall because I'm like, dude, your own argument for why you played classic WoW more than you played TBC. Ugh. Anyways, the correct apples to apples comparison should be to compare the success of TBC to fresh launch TBC, first time in decades, to the fresh launch of classic World of Warcraft, first time in decades. And the moment you make that comparison, TBC looks like complete dog shit by comparison. Right? It has like, I'll be generous. It has 15% of the player base that classic World of Warcraft had at any given point in time. I think it's closer to 10%, but I'll be generous and I'll say 15%. Clearly, classic World of Warcraft is superior. Thank you very much. By any and all metrics. Oh, shit. If you just go on success metrics. Now, one of the things he says that people hate in classic World of Warcraft is world PvP, and he has a much better argument for this, and I wanted to make a video on it. I even made slides. I think I even recorded a video, but then I wanted to re-record it later. Yeah, so he says he hates PvP for like X, Y, and Z circumstances. I might actually have the thing still here. Long-term, math, DPS, classic PVC, blah, 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 blah. Where's the search function? P. Searcheroo. Thanks. Whatever. Striking distance? Ah, that's a dating thing. TBC figures, TBC. I want world PvP. World PvP. Whatever. I guess I could just use my damn memory. Right, but I made a slide, and basically the slide was like, so the point I'm trying to make here is Asmongold, when he says people really don't like world PvP, you can look at all the metrics. All the metrics say that people don't like world PvP. He's kind of correct. Like, when you look at the metrics say that people don't like world PvP, but I wanted to make a video in defense of world PvP because I love world PvP. And his complaints about world PvP, there's basically, as near as I can tell, 4 world PvP scenarios. Right? There's 4 world PvP scenarios, and his complaints is basically one of them. One of them he has a big problem with. So he's like, world PvP sucks because of X. And from my perspective, I'm like, okay, well, there's 4 world PvP circumstances. You're saying it sucks because of one of them. Only one of them. And that PvP circumstance, of course, is being XV1'd. No. X plus 1v1. There we go. Meaning that it's you versus more people than you, and you die horribly. Oh, no. I take it back. Of the 4 PvP scenarios, he mentions 2 of them. One of them he says straight up sucks, and then the other one that he mentions, which is you're low life and you get jumped. He only covers half the story that transpires in he's low life and you get jumped. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say I'm out in the world in world PvP and I get jumped by 2 guys and I die. I lose that fight, right? That's not really the end of the story. It's only the end of the story if you don't come back for round 2. And it's really only the end of the story, to say nothing of round 3, round 4, round 5, right? If you don't come back, it's like, what was the value of them jumping is the question, right? As a Holy Reckoning Paladin, or as a Reckoning Paladin general, I know the value of getting the jump versus being jumped. And I know that, of course, as a Paladin, if I come back again and I'm the one doing the jumping, that I'm going to win that 2v1 because I'm going to turn that 2v1 into a duel very, very quickly. The other scenario that he mentions, of course, is you're low life. You're out there farming, you're low life, and then you get killed by a horde player. Okay, well, that's only half the story. What happens when you come back? Like, what happens when you come back? And I was going to do a whole video on this. Basically, when you get good with world PvP, you realize that you need to, through your PvP skills and your personal tenacity of coming back again and again, you need to earn the right to farm or do whatever the hell it is that you were doing in an area. So I'll give you an example, right? Like, let's say I'm farming an area and 3 horde people show up and they kill me. It wouldn't matter if I was low life or not. They just show up, they kill me, and they say, hey, we're taking over this farm area. It's like, okay. Let's say I have no chance of beating the 3 of these guys. But I keep coming back again and again and again. I keep being annoying again and again and again that it interferes with their farming so much that eventually they just don't want to fight anymore. And they start giving me all the signals that they don't really want to fight. And so I just start farming again. Like, I will, through my sheer tenacity, I will earn the right to exist in this area by literally wasting their time, right? However, that's if you suck. Like, that's the bare minimum level of terribleness. However, when you start getting good, what ends up happening is you really, really start being able to waste their time on the farming. So you'll have these scenarios where I go out there and I kill 2 of them and then I die. And then I come back again and I kill 2 of them and then I die. And I start, they start having to maintain so much mana and such a high health pool that they can't farm efficiently anymore. And I'm only killing 1 of them and then I'm dying. And eventually you just earn the right to be there. Right? Like, that's how that works. That's how you combat that. You combat people coming around you when you're farming an area and they kill you when you're low life by just going back again and being a tenacious and or badass. And preferably both. A tenacious badass. Like I can't tell you the number of times I've been up in Silithus farming for like Essence of Air or whatever the hell I'm out there to farm. And I'm completely surrounded by Horde players, right? Like the area is completely infested with Horde players farming the area, right? And none of them are messing with me. And the reason why none of them are messing with me is because through my combat prowess and my tenacity, I've earned the right to be there. They know that it's better for them if I'm there than not there. And then you start building weird relationships in World PvP. Well, there'll be like a mage that he's trying to ball up a bunch of mobs, and he's going for his blizzard thing, and some part of it failed, and his freeze thing resisted, and his entire pool is fucked up, and his entire pool is about to fail, or he's about to die, one of the two. This is a Horde mage, okay? And you see this Horde mage, like 20% life, like running for his life, and there's like 8 dust devils chasing after him or some shit like that. And I'm not busy as a paladin, so I'll go over there and I'll save his life and I'll save his farm. And of course I'll get like a salute or a thank you or something, like, you know, a slash thanks or a slash salute. And he goes about his business and farms some more. So if they're letting me farm in an area, you better bet that I'm going to be a team player paladin. And then it gets even weirder because you'll have these scenarios where another Horde player will show up and they'll start trying to farm the area. And I'm farming the area, and they're like, okay, there's like 8 Horde people out here. There's only 1 paladin out here. Let's just kill this paladin and improve our Horde farming capabilities. And then so they'll jump me as a hunter, and they'll kill me when I'm low life or something, you know, whoop-de-doo. And then I come back again with my pre-charged wreck bomb, and I absolutely murder them. Maybe not even in the wreck bomb. Maybe it's like a long 1v1 fight that lasts like, you know, a minute 30 seconds. And this poor X-class, mage, hunter, warlock, whatever, is running around begging the other Horde players for help. And of course they're not going to help you. They're not going to help you. Why? Number one, they have learned painfully that that is a damn reckoning paladin, and he is a psychopath, and if I help you kill him, he will come back and interfere with my farming. I don't want that. Number two, I've watched this paladin be helpful to me before. He's actually useful for me not screwing up my my farms. I can't trust. I don't know you yet. I don't trust you to help me out if I need help. I don't trust you not to be in competition with me for the farm. Screw you. And then lastly and finally, that Horde player is also competition. So, whatever. So, you have to earn the right to be there. Like the end. That's just all it is. You just have to earn the right to exist in the world on a world PvP server and to compete for resources and all that kind of stuff. I have other examples of this phenomena would be me. I used to be a mining back when I was feeding Drakova gold. I know we're just trying to stockpile gold myself. I'm usually a mining herbalist, and the place that I love to live is I love to live in the Alterac Mountains, and I'll run away and I'll herb up the Winter's Bite, and I will mine the area simultaneously, right? Well, there used to be this mage, and there was actually 3 mages that would do this. Because I can beat any other class, but I couldn't beat a mage at the time, right? So if a mage showed up, I had to... Plan A was, if any Horde people come out here, I'm going to murder them. Plan B is that if it's a mage or somebody I can't actually kill, then I'm just going to have to work with them. I have to earn the right to exist there. So these mages would see that they'd see me mining, and they wouldn't really mess with me. It's like, okay, that's Paladin's a miner. But then they would also see me herbing, and then they'd be like, oh, shit, he's herbing as well, and so they'd immediately start killing me and trying to kick me out of the area. Well, I would be tenacious, and I would refuse to leave the area. I would possibly kill them once or twice just to show them that I had some teeth. But then I would go out of my way to show them that I'm not herbing anymore. I will just mine the area if you let me stay here and you just let me exist in peace without us having to fight all the damn time. I'll mine and I'll let you have the herbs. And that's exactly what would happen, right? There'd be scenarios where, you know, like, because the mage is chasing you, or you know, I'd like kill the mage and then I'd come back again. So the mage is getting ready for a fight, but he notices is that the herbs are up. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go mine the herbs. Sometimes I'd even like straight up wait for him at an herb node. I'd be like, look, I could herb it. I'm not herbing it. I see you, you see me. We can fight if you want, but I'm just going to, literally, I would like salute, bow, mount up, and right away to the nearest mining node and mine it right in front of his face. Like, I'm doing my best to say in every way, shape, or form, I'm not going to herb. You have herbing rights since you're here. Let's not fight. Let's just farm the area. And then things would get even more interesting. There were 3 mages I had this relationship with. Things would get even more interesting when other when other factions would show up. So let's say another alliance player would show up, and they would start herbing the area. Well, the mage would just kill them, right? End of story. But there were other times when a horde player would show up, and the horde player would start competing with this mage for the herbs. And I, as the alliance player, would push them out of the area. I'd maintain a wreck bomb. If I saw them herbing or I could catch them, I would delete them out of existence. And because the mage that I'm friendly with and I have a deal with is in the area, I don't have a deal with this other horde player, and I'm more than capable of killing them if they're not a mage. And so these 3 mages would reciprocate that. So if there was an alliance player that would show up and they weren't herbing, they were just mining, the mage would kill them and push them out of the area because I would reciprocate, right? If horde player was herbing, I would push them out of the area. If an alliance player was mining, I would push them out of the area. And we'd end up in these weird relationship scenarios where there were times when I'd be in the process of herbing something. And the next thing I know, I would be turned. It wouldn't even be a sheep that would hit me. It would be like a fire blast, right? I get fire blasted, and I'd look around. I'd be like, "What the fuck?" And I'd be preparing for a fight. But then I would notice that it's one of these 3 mages, and I would usually get turned into a sheep before I would notice that it's one of the 3 mages, because the mages don't know what paladin it is yet, right? They just see a paladin is going for a winter bite node. They're probably chasing me down. I get off my mount. I start herbing. They hit me with a spell and then sheep me, and then they realize it's me, and of course I realize it's them. So then they usually salute me, and they herb the damn thing, and then they bow, and they would mount up, and they would ride away. And I was like, oh, it's you. And it's like, oh, it's you. And it's like, okay. And then I know, all right, I'm not herbing anymore. They're in the area. And the moral of the story is you just have to earn the right to be there. So you can do it Drakova style, which is just murder, death, kill everything in your path and claim the farming area for yourself. Or you can come to some kind of an arrangement with the horde. Sometimes that might involve just being a completely psychotic, annoying jackass. Like there's been time, like usually it's when I'm in Fellwood and I'm trying to farm for demonic runes, and or Fellcloth, and or just farming in general. Like, you know, like a party of horde players will show up, like 3 of them, and they'll start farming for the same stuff. And so suddenly I can't AoE farm anymore, but that's fine. So I just go to, like, you know, single target farming, or I grab, like, you know, a handful of mobs and I burn them down. I'm trying to farm in the area, right? And they decide that they want to push me out of the area, but I just keep coming back and being such a nuisance that they eventually just let me farm. And that's just how you have to live. So I'm a big fan of World PvP, right? And the other 2 PvP scenarios are basically like a 1v1 over a resource. And I think the other one was just World PvP for fun sakes, like territorial defense. Like there's a level 60 rogue terrorizing a low-level area, or Stranglethorn Vale is being punished, and they want, or Blackrock Mountain needs to be cleared out of horde or something like that. And you just get a call like, you know, we need some help over here, blah, blah, blah. Or some people might be like, I need to get into Blackrock Mountain to do some runs, or I need to get into Dire Maul East, and there's a group of horde here, you know, and you get summoned out there to beat the crap out of them, so your boys can go do their thing. But yeah, so I just think it's really weird that I should have made a guide a long time ago on how to world PvP. Like how to live on world PvP. So yeah, come to think of it, I should make a guide, and I should just end this video right here. All right, boys. Day is full. Hopefully, you guys enjoy my ramblings as always, and good luck.